The station floated in the quiet space between stars, its gardens full, its halls echoing with many voices. Lisa Carter walked slowly through the central corridor, her steps light her face, calm. She no longer carried the weight of war in her shoulders, but something softer. The weight of care. She stopped to watch a group of children, one human, two Krell, and a small Zenth with glowing skin playing a game with stones and light. They laughed in a mix of sounds that meant joy in every tongue. Vera stood nearby, leaning against a wall of living Krellwood, her silver eyes following Lisa with quiet warmth. They had not spoken much since the return from the Signal Eater moon. Not because there was nothing to say, but because words were not always needed, but peace is never still. A new alert pulsed through the station, not red, not urgent, but deep blue, a color reserved for ancient signals, the kind buried in data vaults or lost in cosmic dust. The source was not a ship, not a moon, but a drifting object labeled only as Relic 7. Donna Cruz, now stationed as a communications liaison, brought the data to Lisa in the observation room. The screen showed a slow, spinning shape wrapped in ice and time. "It is human, Vera," said her voice low, but not. From this century. Lisa studied the image, a pod long and narrow, its surface etched with old Earth symbols, the kind used before the first contact war. "It is a cryo vessel. Dana said we found its registry buried in Mars archives. It was part of Project Phoenix, a last hope mission launched during the firestorm. They were supposed to sleep until Earth was safe again." Lisa's breath caught. "How many?" 12 souls, Dana replied. "But the signal shows only one life sign, faint but steady." Lisa looked at Vera. "We have to bring it in." The Aurora docked with the relic gently, its arms cradling the ancient pod like a child. The ice melted under warm lights, revealing a hull scorched by time and re-entry burns that never happened. They opened the hatch in the medical bay, the air inside cold and still. A single figure lay in the center, wrapped in a thin silver suit. Her face pale, her hair white as snow, but her chest rose and fell. She woke slowly, her eyes fluttering open. Not with fear, but with wonder. "Where am I?" she whispered. "Safe," Lisa said. "You are safe." The woman sat up slowly, her hands trembling. She looked at Lisa, then at Vera, then at the Krell symbols on the wall. "You are not alone anymore," Lisa said gently. The woman's name was Elaine Foster. She had been a teacher before the war. She volunteered for Project Phoenix, not to escape but to carry memory forward. "I was to wake when Earth healed," she said, her voice soft like old paper. "But I dreamed of silence for so long." They gave her time to adjust, showed her the station, the gardens, the children, the many species living together. One evening she stood with Lisa on the observation deck, watching a Krell elder teach a human boy how to shape light into stories. "You did this?" she said. "We all did," Lisa replied. Elaine turned, her eyes full of tears. "You kept the light alive." "Not me," Lisa said. "People like you did, by believing someone would be here to wake you." Elaine stayed on the station, not as a guest, but as a keeper of old Earth songs and lessons. She taught children how to write with real pens, how to plant seeds in soil, how to say "I am sorry" and mean it. But the relic pod held more than one secret. Deep in its core, hidden behind cryo controls, was a data vault sealed with a code only Elaine knew. When she opened it, the screen filled with faces, voices, messages from the 12, all recorded before sleep, each saying goodbye to a world they feared would not survive. But one file was different, labeled Final Protocols. Plated alone in the quiet room, a man in a worn uniform appeared, his face lined with grief. "This is Captain Raymond Cole of Project Phoenix. If you are hearing this, the war did not end as we hoped. We built something into the pod, a failsafe, a signal that will wake every dormant human weapon in the sector. If it detects Krell biosigns, it was meant to be a last strike. If Earth fell." Lisa's blood ran cold. "How long until it activates?" she asked. "Dana, it already has." Dana said. The system read Vera's presence. "When we docked, it is counting down 72 hours until broadcast." Lisa ran to the medical bay. Elaine sat by the window, her hands folded. "You knew," she said. "I suspected," Elaine replied, "but I hoped time had broken it. We have to stop it. The failsafe is tied to my life sign," she said. "If I die, it triggers." Early. Lisa turned to Vera. "What do we do?" Vera's face was grim. "There is only one way. Rewrite the signal. Not as a weapon, but as a welcome. But it needs a human genetic key, Elaine said. And a Krell. Resonance pattern. Lisa looked at Vera, you and me. They worked in the pod's core room, the walls humming with old power. Elaine guided them through the code, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. The countdown ticked below 40 hours, human, and Krell-Tech did not speak the same language, so they built a bridge not of wires but of sound. Vera sang a Krell bonding chant while Lisa recited an old Earth poem about rivers joining seas. The system listened, confused, then curious. At 30 hours the pod shuddered, at 20 it began to accept, at 10. The failsafe blinked from red to gold at 0. It broadcast not a weapon, but a song. The voices of the 12 joined with Lisa and Vera and Elaine, a message not of fear, but of hope. Every dormant human weapon in the sector powered down, not broken, but at peace. Elaine wept. That night the station held a gathering, not a celebration, but a remembrance. They lit candles, human Krell Zenth, all together, and spoke the names of the 12 who slept so others could wake. Elaine stood with Lisa and Vera, her hand in both of theirs. You turned my fear into a gift, she said. No, Lisa said, you gave us the chance to heal the past. In the days that followed, Elaine began writing again. Not just old lessons, but new ones about trust, about second chances, about the courage to believe in tomorrow. Lisa walked the halls as before, but now with Elaine sometimes and Vera always, the three of them, a quiet force in the heart of the station. One morning, a child handed Lisa a drawing. It showed 3 women under a tree. One with silver eyes, one with white hair, and one with tired but kind eyes. Who are they? The child asked us. Lisa said simply. The child smiled and ran off. Vera watched her go. You have become a story. Lisa looked at the drawing, then at her friends. Maybe that is the point, far away in the dark. Other relics slept, but now they would wake to a different world. Not one of fire, but of hands held across the void, and in the center of it, all 2 women and a teacher showed that even the oldest wounds could close if someone was brave enough to stitch them with kindness. The station turned slowly in the starlight, its lights bright, its heart full. And for the first time in a long time, the future felt not like a threat but like a promise kept. Months passed and the neutral station grew from a single docking ring into a web of corridors and gardens, built by human hands and Krell bioformers working side by side. Lisa Carter walked its halls every day, not as a soldier but as a bridge, her name spoken in both tongues with respect, not fear. She wore no uniform now, just a simple gray tunic and boots. Her hair tied back, her eyes still tired but softer than before. Vera stayed close, always near but never crowding. She had become the voice of the silent hive, the only Krell trusted by humans and the only human trusted by Krell elders. They met each morning in the central garden where earth flowers grew beside Krell light vines that hummed when touched. Today Vera stood by the water pool, her silver eyes fixed on the surface where ripples moved without wind. They are watching us, she said. Lisa joined her. Who the council, the old ones, they say peace is a sickness that spreads too fast. They fear we have forgotten how to fight. Lisa sighed. We have not forgotten, we have chosen not to. There is a difference, Vera said, but not everyone sees it. A child ran past, laughing, a human boy chasing a Krell hatchling. Their feet splashing in the shallow stream, they bumped into Lisa and stopped. Wide-eyed, sorry, Captain, the boy whispered. Lisa knelt and smiled. No need for sorry, just be kind. The boy nodded and grabbed the hatchling's hand. They ran off together. Vera watched them go. That is what they fear, she said. Children who do not hate. Lisa stood slowly. Then we must protect them harder. That night alarms blared through the station, not loud but urgent. A soft red pulse in the walls. Lisa was on her feet before the call came. Intruders in Sector 7. She ran not with a weapon but with a comm unit. Vera met her at the junction, her posture tense but calm. 3 Krell warriors entered through a maintenance hatch. They wear old armor, black and scarred. Not council issue, renegades. Lisa said, they do not believe in peace. Vera replied, they believe in blood. They found the intruders in the nursery level, standing over the sleeping pods of human and Krell. Young one held a blade made of bone, its edge glowing faintly with poisons. Top, Lisa said, her voice steady. The lead renegade turned, his eyes burning red, unlike Vera's silver. You are the one who poisoned our kind with soft words. Humani offered truth, not poison. He stepped forward. Mercy is rot. It weakens the strong, then why are you afraid of it? Lisa asked. He lunged. Vera moved faster, then thought her hand striking his throat not to kill but to stun. He fell gasping. The others froze. You would protect them? Vera said, her voice like ice. Even your own young. They are not my young. They are traitors born of peace. No, Vera said, they are the future. You are just afraid to live in it. The renegades were taken not to a cell, but to the council chamber where elders from both sides listened. The human ambassador, a woman named Claire Mills, sat beside the Krell High speaker. Their faces, grim. They demand trial by combat. The renegade leader spat. No, Lisa said softly. We do not do that here, but the high speaker nodded. It is their right under old law. Vera turned to Lisa. Do not accept. I have to. Lisa said. If I refuse, they will say peace is cowardice. The duel was set for dawn in the open ring beneath the station's glass dome. Earth sky above, Krell stars beyond. Lisa wore no armor, just her gray tunic and boots. The renegade wore full battle shell, his blade humming with energy. You will die human, he said. Maybe, Lisa said, but I will die standing. The fight began fast and brutal. He struck hard, aiming to kill. She dodged, rolled, used the ground. The light. The sound of her own breath to stay alive. She did not draw a weapon she carried. None. Why do you not fight? He roared. Because this is not about winning. Lisa panted. It is about showing what we are. He swung again. She caught his wrist, not with strength but with timing. Twisted just enough to unbalance him. He fell to one knee. Finish me, he growled. No. No, Lisa said, I will not. The crowd murmured, human and Krell alike. She stepped back and offered her hand. Take it, she said, or walk away, but do not make these children fear their own hearts. She stared at her hand, then at the watching young ones, their eyes wide with hope, not hate. Something broke in him, not his body but his certainty. He took her hands. Silence filled the dome. Then slow clapping started from the back, a Krell elder, then a human teacher, then more, until the sound rose like a wave. That night the renegades did not leave. They stayed and worked in the gardens, learning to grow, not destroy. But peace is never still. Weeks later, a new signal came. Not from Krell space, not from human, but from deeper out beyond the rim. A third, voice old and cold and hungry. It spoke in broken words of a fleet coming not to talk but to consume. They call themselves the Devourers. Vera said, her face pale. Even for a Krell, they are myth. We thought they were gone. Lisa read the data. The signal showed ships larger than cities. Weapons that ate star show long, she asked. 3 months, maybe less. The council met in emergency session. Voices sharp with fear. Some said hide, some said run, some said strike. First Lisa stood in the center of the room, quiet until all eyes turned to her. We cannot fight them alone, she said. But we do not have to be alone. She turned to Vera. What if we show them not just our peace but our unity? Vera understood immediately. You mean broadcast again? Not just to Krell. And human, Lisa said, to every signal out there, every hidden colony, every lost ship, every voice in the dark, let them hear. We are not divided anymore. It was risky. The signal could attract more enemies, but it could also gather allies. They worked for days upgrading the station's array using human tech and Krell bionodes until it could reach across the rim. The message was simple footage of the station of children playing of renegades, planting seeds of Lisa and Vera walking side by side. No words, just life. They sent it into the void and waited. 2 weeks later, the first reply came, a small ship from the Zenth Collective, long silent. Since the first war, they offered ships and shields, then another from the Myra Hive who had watched from the shadows. They sent engineers, then more voices joined until a net of light spread across the dark. Not an army, but a web of will. The Devourers came at the edge of the 3rd month. Their lead ship, black as a hole in space, it swallowed light as it moved. The United Fleet met them not in a line but in a circle. Human, Krell, Zenth, Myra all together, their ships different, but their purpose. Annalisa stood on the bridge of the Aurora, now refitted not for war, but for command. Vera beside her. They will try to divide us, Vera said. Let them try. Lisa said, they will find we are already whole. The battle did not start with fire but with sound. The United Fleet broadcast the same message they had sent into the void. the sound of children laughing, the hum of gardens, the quiet courage of mercy. The devourer ship slowed its commander. A being of shifting shadow spoke through broken static. "You are weak. You share your strength." "No," Lisa replied. "We multiply it." For the first time, the devourers hesitated. Then, their ship turned and fled, not from fear but from confusion. They had only known hunger. They did not know how to face fullness. The fleet did not chase. They held their circle until the stars were quiet again. Afterward on the station, Lisa sat with Vera in the garden, the water pool still, the sky full of new ships docking. "Not to fight but to learn. Do you think it will last?" Vera asked. Lisa watched a human girl teach a Krell child how to braid flowers. "I do not know," she said. "But as long as one person chooses kindness over fear, we have a chance." Vera leaned closer. "Your sister, she is safe." Lisa nodded. "Earth received our signal. They are rebuilding. Not walls but schools." "Good," Vera said. They sat in silence, the kind that does not need words. Fair. Away in the dark, other signals blinked awake, drawn not by power but by hope. The universe was vast and old and full of teeth. But here in this small place, two women had shown that even the hardest hearts could learn to beat together. And that was enough to begin again. The station turned in the quiet dark, its lights steady its people. Minnie Lisa Carter stood on the outer observation deck, her hands resting on the warm glass. Her eyes fixed on the distant stars, not watching for threats, but for signs of life. She had grown used to the silence that was not empty but full of breath and movement behind her. The soft hum of the station carried voices, human Krell, Zenth, and others, all mixing like wind through different leaves. Vera joined her as she always did, not speaking at first, just standing close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "You are thinking about her?" Vera said. Lisa nodded. Her sister had sent a new message just that morning. Not through official channels, but a personal note, short and bright. "I planted tomatoes today. They are small, but red." Lisa smiled at the memory of earth soil under her own fingers, a thing she had not felt in years. "I wonder if I will ever go back," she said. "You could," Vera replied. "The Aurora is ready, but I am needed." "Here you are needed everywhere," Vera said gently, "but you cannot be in all places at once." Lisa looked at her friend. "Your people still watch you. You know that." Vera's silver eyes flickered with something like amusement. "They watch because they do not understand how peace holds without chains. It holds because we choose it every day," Lisa said. Just then a soft chime echoed through the deck. Not an alarm, but a call from the central hub. Dana Cruz's voice came through, calm but urgent. "You should come." They walked quickly through the living corridors, the walls pulsing faintly with Krell light, the floors warm underfoot in the hub. A new signal blinked on the main screen. Not from a ship, not from a station, but from deep within the asteroid belt near the old Mars quarantine zone. It is repeating a single phrase over and over in broken standard English. "Help us, we are still here." Dana turned as they entered. "We traced it to a mining colony sealed during the war. They were cut off, not destroyed, just forgotten." "How many?" Dana asked. "Unknown. The signal is weak, but it carries biosigns, at least 20, maybe more." Lisa felt the old pull, the one that had sent her to Zareth, to the signal eater. Moon, to the relic pod. She looked at Vera. "We have to." Gothi Aurora launched within the hour, its hull gleaming with fresh bioplating, its hold stocked with medical supplies and seeds, not weapons. Elaine Foster stood at the dock, her white hair tied back, her eyes sharp with purpose. "Take this," she said, handing Lisa a small box. Inside were soil samples from the station gardens, earth soil mixed with Krell spores and Zenth pollen. A little piece of home for them. Lisa took it. "Thank you." They flew through the scarred space near Mars, the planet below, still bearing black marks from the firestorm, its city's ruins, its skies thin but healing. The signal led them to a massive asteroid carved hollow from the inside, its entrance sealed with rusted metal and old human warnings. "Biosigns are strong," Vera said, "but the air is stale." Lisa guided the Aurora into a narrow docking bay. The doors groaned open after centuries of silence. Inside, the dark was thick, but not empty. Figures emerged slowly from the shadows. Not armed, not aggressive, just thin and pale, their eyes wide with disbelief. "You are real," one whispered. Lisa stepped forward slowly. "Yes, we are." They were miners and their families trapped when the war cut supply lines. They had survived on ration packs and filtered water, breeding algae in old tanks and teaching their children from memory chips that no longer worked. Their leader, a woman named Margot Ellis, stepped forward, her hands shaking. "We thought everyone was gone." "No," Lisa said, "we were just lost for a while." They brought the Auroras, supplies into the colony, shared food, shared water, shared stories. The miners cried when they tasted real fruit, when they heard children's voices from the station feed, when they saw the stars through the Aurora's clear dome. But something was wrong. The youngest children did not speak. They moved silently, their eyes distant. Margot explained, "During the worst years, we had to seal the lower levels to save air. Some were down there too long when we opened them. They came back quiet." Lisa knelt beside a small boy, his fingers tracing patterns in the dust. He did not look up. "Can they be reached?" Vera asked. "Maybe," Lisa said. "If they remember, they are not alone." That night, Lisa sat with the quiet children in the dim light of the colony's main hall. She did not speak at first, just sat and breathed with them. Then softly she began to hum the same tune she had used in the relic pod. The old Earth lullaby. Her mother, Sangone girl, tilted her head. Vera joined her, not humming but singing a low, Krell bonding chant, the sound wrapping around Lisa's melody like roots around a tree. Slowly the children looked upon and reached for Lisa's hand. Another made a small sound like a bird at dawn. "Be morning." 3 of them spoke simple words. "Water light." Homa Margot wept. They stayed for 5 days, helping the colony reconnect its systems, sharing the station's network, teaching the adults how to grow food in small plots using the soil. Elaine had sent in the last day. The quiet boy handed Lisa a small stone carved with a spiral. "For you," he said, his voice rough from disuse. Elisa took it and pressed it to her heart. "Thank you." As the Aurora lifted from the asteroid, the miners stood at the entrance, waving not with desperation but with hope. Back on the station, Elaine waited with tea and quiet pride. "You brought them back." Lisa shook her head. "They brought themselves. We just reminded them how." That evening, Lisa sat in the garden, the carved stone in her palm, Vera beside her, the water pool still, the stars above full of light. "Do you ever feel tired?" Vera asked. "All the time," Lisa said. "But then I see a child speak, or a garden grow, or a hand reach out, and I remember why it matters." Vera leaned closer. "Your mercy is not weakness. It is the thread that holds us all together." Lisa smiled. "Maybe that is what we are here to learn." Fair below the station, the Aurora rested its engines, cool, its hull scarred but whole, ready for the next call, the next cry in the dark, the next chance to say, "You are not alone." And in the heart of the station, 2 women sat in silence, not waiting for war but tending to peace, one small act at a time. For in the vast cold of space, the bravest thing was not to fight but to care, and they had chosen to care every single day. The stars watched, and for once they did not see fear, but something brighter, something that could not be named but only lived, and that was enough. The station hummed with new life, not just from humans and Krell, but from a dozen species who had answered the call after the devourers fled. Some came in broken ships, others in vessels shaped like living trees or singing crystals. They brought no weapons, only questions and seeds and songs. Lisa Carter walked among them, not as a leader but as a listener. She wore the same gray tunic, her boots scuffed from endless corridors, her hair longer, now tied back with a vine from the Krell garden. Vera stayed at her side, always calm, always watching, the silver in her eyes reflecting the station's soft lights. They had not spoken of the past much, not of Mars or the exile or the duel beneath the dome. They did not need to. Their silence was its own language. But peace is never still. One morning, a small ship docked at Bay 9, its hull scarred with old burns and strange symbols. No one recognized. The pilot stepped out alone. A human woman, tall, with short black hair and eyes that held too much sky. She carried no weapon, only a satchel and a data slate. Her name was Dana Cruz, and she came from beyond the outer rim, a place humans had not mapped in 50 years. Lisa met her at the airlock. Dana looked at her and smiled. "You are the one who sent the light." "I sent a message," Lisa said. "Same thing," Dana replied. They sat in the quiet room near the nursery. Dana sipped water, her hands shaking slightly, not from fear but from exhaustion. My colony is dying, she said, not from war but from silence. Lisa leaned forward. Explain. We live on a moon orbiting a dead star. No signals, no ships, no contact for decades. We thought we were alone. Then your message came through like a hand in the dark. We tried to reply, but something blocks us a field. Not natural. It eats transmissions and twists time. Vera entered, then her presence quiet but sharp. What kind of field? Dana pulled up a map on her slate. A red ring around her moon pulsing like a wound. It started after the first contact war. Someone buried something. They're a weapon or a tomb, we do not know, but it is waking up. Lisa felt cold. This is not the Devourers. No, Dana said, worse, it is ours. The room fell still. Human scientists built it during the war. She continued, a last resort device meant to erase all signals in a sector to blind the Krell, but they lost control. It went dormant and they sealed the records hoping it would sleep forever. Now it stirs and it is pulling everything toward it. Even light bends wrong near. Lisa looked at Vera. We have to go. You cannot, Vera said. That place is cursed. Even Krell scouts never returned. Then someone has to. Dana said. My people are trapped. Their crops fail, their children forget words. They are fading like ghosts. Lisa stood. I am not letting another home burn. They prepared the Aurora not for battle but for rescue. Its hull patched with Krell biometal. Its engines tuned by Zenth engineers. Vera insisted on coming. I know the old war tech better than any human. Dana stayed behind to guide from the station. Her voice would be their anchor. The journey took 6 days through warped space where stars blinked out and reappeared in wrong places. The Aurora groaned like a living thing but held together. Then they saw it. The moon hung in blackness, wrapped in a red haze like a bruise on the skin of the universe around it. Space-twisted small rocks orbiting in spirals that made no sense. Activate dampeners, Vera said, or we will be pulled in. Lisa worked the controls, her fingers steady despite the fear in her gut. They dropped through the haze slowly, the Aurora shuddering as if fighting invisible hands. Below, the surface was gray and cracked. No cities, no lights, just ruins half swallowed by dust. We are being scanned, Vera warned. Not by machines, Lisa said, by something else. A voice filled the cabin, not through speakers, but in their minds, cold and sharp like broken glass. You are not welcome here. Lisa spoke aloud. We come for the people, not for you. The voice laughed. They are already mine. Then show yourself, Lisa said. The ground split open, not with fire but with silence. A tower rose from the crack. Black and smooth, no doors, no windows, just a single pulse of red light at its peak. That is the core, Vera whispered. The signal eater. They landed the Aurora a kilometer from the tower, the air thin and bitter. Dana's voice crackled over the comm, faint and stretched. I see you, hold on. They walked toward the tower, boots crunching on dead soil. No wind, no sound, only the hum of the red light growing, louder with each step. Halfway there, figures appeared from the dust, not armed, not aggressive, just standing, watching, their eyes dull. Their mouths slack. My people. Dana's voice broke. The colonists moved like sleepwalkers, circling the tower in slow steps, their hands reaching toward the red light. They are being drained. Vera said, their thoughts, their memories, their will. Can we save them? Lisa asked. Only if we stop. The core. How Vera looked at her with sorrow. There is no off switch. It was built to run until everything is quiet. Then we break it. It is shielded, human steel and Krell bone fused together. Nothing cuts. Lisa stared at the tower, then at the people walking in circles. Their faces empty. She thought of her sister, of the children, on the station, of the renegade who took her hand. Maybe we do not break it, she said. Maybe we give it something it cannot eat. What? Vera asked. A memory. Lisa said, something true and full and loud. She opened her comm channel. Not to Dana, but to the station. To every ship, every voice that had joined them since the Devourers fled. Play the message, she said, the one with the children. Dana understood immediately. The station broadcast the old signal. The laughter, the gardens, the duel, the quiet moment when Lisa offered her hand. The sound poured from the Aurora's speakers, clean and bright like water in a desert. The red light flickered. The walking people stopped. The voice in their minds screamed, No, Lisa stepped forward and spoke. Not to the tower, but to the people. Remember, she said, your names, your songs, your mothers, your first steps, your last goodbyes. You are not empty, you are loved. One woman turned her head, tears cutting tracks through the dust on her cheeks. Another man dropped to his knees, sobbing. The red light pulsed faster. Then dimmed. It is working, Vera said, but it is fighting back. The ground shook. The tower cracked, a black liquid oozing from the split. Liza kept speaking louder now, telling stories of Earth, of Krell, of Zenth, of Myra, of every hand that had reached across the dark, not to take but to hold. The colonists began to wake fully, some crying, some shouting, some just standing in wonder. The tower made a sound like a dying star, then collapsed inward, not with an explosion, but with a sigh. Silence returned, but this time it was soft, not hungry. Dana's voice came through clear. Now you did. Lisa sank to her knees, exhausted but smiling. They spent 3 days helping the colonists board rescue ships the Aurora carried. 50. The others came in shuttles from the station. The people were weak but alive, their eyes bright again. On the way back, Dana stood with Lisa on the bridge looking at the stars. You gave them back their voices, she said. No, Lisa said, they gave themselves back. I just reminded them how Vera joined them. Her silver eyes reflecting the starlight. You keep showing us the way. Lisa shook her head. I am just walking the path. You all helped build. When they returned to the station, cheers rose from every species, gathered there not for victory but for return, for life restored. That night Lisa sat alone in the garden, the water pool still, the flowers blooming under alien stars. Vera found her as always. Do you ever wonder if it is enough? Vera asked. Lisa looked up at the sky, full of ships, full of hope, full of second chances. I do not need it to be enough, she said. I just need it to be true. And in that truth they found rest. Not the end of struggle, but the strength to keep going, for in the heart of the dark, 2 women had lit a fire, not with weapons but with words, and that fire would not go out. In the cold dark between stars, the Aurora hung like a wounded bird, its metal skin pitted with burns, its lights flickering low. Lisa Carter sat alone in the command chair, her eyes red from lack of sleep, her hands resting on the silent controls. She had not heard from Earth in 72 hours, not since the last message cut off with her sister's voice saying they're coming again. Then nothing, just static like a breath held too long. The Aurora had been sent to the edge of known space, to check strange signals near Zarath, a dead moon humans had abandoned after the first contact war. That war had lasted 10 years and left scars on both sides. The Krell. Their enemies were not like humans. They did not speak with mouths, but with thought made sound. Their ships grew from living metal, and their warriors were raised to see mercy as failure. Lisa knew the history better than most. She had lost her parents in the Mars firestorm when she was 12. She had watched the sky burn orange for 3 days straight and smelled the smoke in her dreams ever since she joined the fleet. Not for glory, but to make sure no one else had to watch their home turn to ash. No, she was the last one left. The rest of her crew had died in the ambush near Ceres. They had been protecting a convoy of refugee ships full of children and teachers and farmers. Not soldiers. But the Krell did not care. They fired anyway. Lisa had ordered her pilots to shield the convoy even as her own ship took hit after hit. She lost 6 good people that day but saved over 200 others. That choice had marked her. Some called her a hero. Others called her reckless, but she did not care about names. She cared about lives now orbiting Zarath. Her sensors picked up a new signal. Not human, not machine, but alive. It pulsed slow and steady like a heart under ice. She should have ignored it. Protocol said, do not respond to unknown signals after contact war. But something in that rhythm felt familiar, like a lullaby half remembered from childhood. Against every rule, she lowered the Aurora's shields and opened a channel. A voice came through, smooth and layered like wind through glass. I see you alone. Human. Lisa swallowed, her throat dry. I am not alone. I carry my people with me in my bones. A pause, then soft laughter. You speak like a poet, not a soldier. She frowned. Who are you? I am Vera of the Silent Hive. Once I led fleets, now I am exiled for showing mercy. Lisa's breath caught. Mercy is a weakness, she said. So I showed her how it can end. War's Vera did not answer right away, then a new image appeared on the screen. A broken Krell ship half buried in the ash of Zareth. Its hull split open like a seed waiting to sprout. Come down, human. If you dare, Lisa. Suited up alone, no backup, no plan, just a gut feeling that this was not a trap but a chance. The drop pod hissed as it left the Aurora and fell through the thin atmosphere of Zareth. The surface was colder than she expected, the ground covered in gray dust and old bones, human and Krell mixed together like they had died holding hands. She walked toward the wreck, guided by Vera's voice in her helmet. Calm and clear. You expect me to kill you? Vera said as Lisa stepped inside the broken ship. No. Lisa said, I expect you to talk. They met in the center of the vessel where the walls still glowed faint blue. Vera stood tall, her skin dark like polished stone. Her eyes wide and silver with no pupils. She wore no armor, only a simple robe stitched, with symbols that shifted when Lisa looked at them too long. You are smaller than I imagined, Vera said. And you are less monstrous. Vera tilted her head. You have seen my kind burn your worlds. I have also seen humans burn each other. Lisa replied. A silence grew between them, thick with memory. Why are you here? Vera asked, to find out why the signal from Earth stopped. Lisa said, the last thing I heard was my sister saying, they're coming for us again. Vera's face changed. Something like sorrow moved. Across it, the High Council has ordered a final purge. They believe your species cannot be tamed, only erased. Lisa's chest tightened. Then why help me? Because I watched your ships retreat from Ceres, not to run but to guard the refugee convoy behind. You gave up your position to save children. That is not weakness, that is strength. The kind my people have forgotten. Lisa stepped closer. You were exiled for this, for refusing to fire on a school transport. Yes, Lisa reached into her suit and pulled out a small data crystal. It glowed faintly in the dim light. I have a plan, but I need your help. Vera studied her. You think I can change the council? I am nothing now. You are the only one who sees both sides, Lisa said. And I have something they want. She held up the crystal, the Aurora's core archive. Every human record of war and peace, every failed treaty, every act of kindness in the middle of chaos, including the Ceres retreat. They think we are animals, Vera said bitterly. Let them see. We choose mercy even when we bleed. Lisa said. Vera looked at her for a long time, then nodded. They worked through the night using parts from Vera's wrecked ship to fix the Aurora's broadcast array. The cold bit through Lisa's suit, but she did not stop. Her fingers moved fast, and sure she thought of her sister, of the kids on Ceres, of every human who had died screaming in the dark. By dawn, the array was ready. Vera stood beside her on the bridge, calm as deep water. Are you sure? No, Lisa said. But it is the only way. She activated the transmission. Every Krell ship within 5 sectors received the same message. Not a threat, not a plea, but a story. Images of human hands planting seeds in ruined cities, of doctors treating enemy wounded, of Lisa herself, ordering her crew to save civilians instead of chasing Victory. And then the final clip, the Ceres retreat. Lisa's voice over the comms telling her pilots to cover the convoy, even as Krell fighters closed in. I would rather lose this battle than lose our soul. The message ended in silence. For 3 hours nothing happened, then a single Krell dreadnought dropped out of warp, its weapons dark, its comms open. This is Commander Zorak of the Iron Maw. Vera answered. Zorak's voice was rough with disbelief. You live. I do, and I bring truth. The dreadnought did not fire. Instead, it rebroadcast the message to the entire Krell armada. Within a day, the purge order froze. Within a week, peace talks began. Lisa did not go back to Earth right away. She stayed, with Vera helping to build the first neutral station between human and Krell space, a place where stories could be shared. Not just weapons. Months later, as she stood on the observation deck watching 2 children, one human, one Krell, play together. With a broken toy, she felt a hand on her shoulder. You were right, Vera said. Mercy is not weakness, it is the bravest thing a warrior can offer. Lisa smiled softly. It is the only thing that lasts. Far below the station, the Aurora floated quiet now. No longer a weapon, but a bridge. And in the silence between stars, something new began to grow. Not born of fire, but of fragile trust, watered by the courage to be kind when the universe demanded cruelty. Lisa Carter had gone to Zareth looking for answers. But she found something better, a future worth fighting for. Not with guns, but with grace. The war did not end with a bang, but with a whisper. A single voice saying, "I see you," and choosing to understand instead of destroy. And in that choice, all things changed.